Thank you,
Thank you,
snowboarding.
snowboarding.
Thank you,
Snowboarding.
Snowboarding, grazie, grazie.
Hey friends, how are you? My name is Chris Cracknell. You are listening to Thank You Snowboarding, the podcast that is all about UK snowboarding culture and history. And we do this with our fine friends at the Snowboard Asylum, who have been looking after UK snowboarders since the very beginning. And we're very lucky to have them on board looking after us too. So, I'm finally home after a crazy 2 weeks away. Week 1 being the camp, week 2 being a family holiday. Both extremely rewarding, both extremely energy sapping and energy giving in so many ways. But I'll talk about that a bit more at the end. This week's episode, I have been so looking forward to sharing this episode with you. It's one of my favourite conversations of the season, and I've had so many fun conversations this season. But this was one of my favourite, and I've been keeping it under wraps because obviously, as anyone knows, a good snowboard video is nothing without a banging ender section. And for probably half of this season, we're trying to lock down my guest this week to get an interview to put it at the end. And I'm talking about Jamie Nicholls, one of our most capable, skilled, talented, longest serving DIY snowboarders. I don't know how to describe him. He's been at the Olympics and he still rides a ghetto rail in his back garden. I mean, he has literally been everywhere from a very early age, from the AIM series to millions of followers on social media. And interestingly enough, I've only really met him once before at a curry house with Jeremy Sladen years ago at the ski show, I think. And so it was an absolute privilege, an honour to go round his house. It's not too far from here. I went round his house about a month ago and sat down with him for a couple of hours, and I absolutely love spending time with him. What an absolutely brilliant person Jamie is. And I think you'll get that from this interview. We cover everything. And I mean, I really enjoyed hanging out with Jamie, and I very much look forward to hanging out with him some more sometime soon. Possibly Jeremy Sladen's 60th birthday. But yeah, I think you'll get how much I enjoyed this conversation by listening to it. This is the last one of the season. Again, we'll talk about that more at the end. But let's go. Jamie Nicholls, a proper legend.
30 miles along the Jurassic coast.
Right.
And they had to do it in a certain time.
Yeah.
So it's called like the roller coaster podcast, basically. Yeah. It's quite an interesting conversation. But yeah, never done much because they don't understand snowboarding. So a lot of it's about like other life shit that goes on. But they don't get the tricks and stuff. So it's quite hard to explain.
Well, that's the thing. I've not heard it yet, but Matt he's done one with Leslie recently about her.
Oh, I haven't listened. I saw it this morning.
But that whole thing about people don't understand
yeah
snowboarding because it's not.
It's kind of hard.
Competitive in the traditional sense.
No, because I guess it's not. It's fairly new, isn't it? Like as a sport.
Yeah.
Like even still, like how many years? When did snowboarding start? Like it was like 70s. So, I mean, it's not that old. Is it really?
No, it's reaching maturity, one might say.
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
Sort of skateboarding did about 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. So, people don't understand. Even my like management, they like, when I was putting those videos out, he was like, oh yeah, like, could you try and like explain it a little bit more in depth? And I'm like, I forget that people don't understand what a triple cork or 1440 mute, like it's. Yeah. And I remember Tim and Ed doing that thing with that guy Chris. Was it Chris?
Yeah. I didn't know who that guy was.
And he was like, It does sound a bit ridiculous, though, doesn't it? All
Well, it
these
does,
different
doesn't it?
roast beef, chickens. That like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are these grams like?
Yeah,
Sounds-
but then there's like ice skating, triple salcos, and like everything's got a jargon. It's just maybe the
everything's-
snowboarding jargon is more unfamiliar to people.
Yes,
I'm sure curling's got some nuance to
I
it,
can't
but
watch that. It's so fucking boring.
you do well not to watch it because there was so much of it. It's like 2 weeks solid, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's so much coverage. Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, it's fucking. Yeah, I didn't really watch anything else other than the skiing and the snowboarding, if I'm honest. Border cross is always fun to watch, but yeah, apart from that, I don't really delve too much into it.
No.
I don't really have time.
Well, I don't even watch the skiing. I'm not bothered. Literally, I'm not bothered about anything. I'm just only interested in the snowboarding. And it's not
Yeah.
because I dislike anything else. As you
Yeah.
say, like I haven't got time to be interested in lots of other things. I've got enough things to be
enough
interested
going,
in.
Yeah, enough stuff
I'm sure
to
you
be
are
going.
as well.
Yeah.
2 little ones.
It's just it's just like having a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. Yeah, it's quite intense. These years are very intense, but very enjoyable. In terms of like, now we're coming into that stage where it's like starting to get like, we've passed that baby phase and like, oh, like this is cool now. Like my 6-year-old Lily, it's like we were in Italy not so long ago and she's just flying around the mountain with me now on her skis. And I was just like, this is so cool. This is what I like envisioned.
Right.
And it's now becoming a reality. So yeah, that is it is super exciting. Obviously she's skiing, but that's fine. As long as she's getting around the mountain with me, it's totally cool, whatever she wants to do. And then obviously I'll bring snowboarding into it. Or probably in like this summer actually, I was thinking of more doing snowboarding at the snow centre just with her.
Why? Because I've just put my kids straight on snowboards, and they
Straight.
went for the first time last year, so they're all like, I mean,
Yeah.
they're 15, 13 and 11 now, so
Yeah.
they're sort of like big enough. But is that a factor? Because we haven't really thought about it, but I never thought about getting them skiing first.
I think when they're really young, I think it helps. It's just because they don't have that leg strength really. Like it's
Right.
quite hard, and it's easier to get them to like do a snowplow like pizzaing than it is to get them to side slip. I
Right.
find when they're really young, and it was more just not. I don't want to sound like it's a selfish thing. Like I want them to be able to come around, like ride around the mountain with me, and my wife whenever we go away, and it just makes things easier. But it does make things easier, them skiing at a young age. So,
Right.
so young, it's just easier for them to get around. Snowboarding, as we know, gets stuck on flats. It's a complete nightmare. So at least like when they're on their little skis, they can just like walk, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, no, it does make it easier. But also the lack of being able to put them in a snowboard school when they're young, like it's just non-existent. Like you
Yeah.
go to like France or like even like, you know, we were in Italy a couple of weeks ago, and if you go with like a tour operator, say like I don't know, like we went with Club Med, for example, they offer like the ski school,
Right.
but it's not a snowboard school.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a ski
yeah.
school. So if you want to be able to go out with whoever it is, your friends, your missus, just to go ride around the mountain for a little bit, just you guys, and then obviously have the enjoyment of having your kids there, it's only a ski school. So that's kind of why, yeah, it just made more sense to try and push that first, and then later introduce snowboarding once they're very comfortable on skis.
Seems entirely fair enough.
Yeah, I think if they were a bit older, I think I would have maybe gone with the snowboarding straight away. Like if they
I mean,
were
you're
7,
probably going to
6, 7.
expect them to, or assume
Yeah.
that they're going to want to do it because they want to do what their daddy does. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
well, the younger one definitely does. The younger one's actually not skiing. She's a nightmare. She doesn't want to ski. So it's like she's snowboarding because I do it and mummy does it. And she won't do anything else. So I'm like, she's 2 and she's a nutter. So it's like, so we've got completely two, like, you know, that our kids are very different in terms of like, you know, what they want to do. Like the youngest one's into pirates and heavy metal and and just being total chaotic child and just causing havoc all the time and just wants to snowboard and go straight. And she's only 2.
Yeah.
And she's the one that's had heart surgery and,
Oh, of
and
course,
all
yeah.
that. So she's just like the complete nutter. And then Lily's way more reserved and thinks about things and before she does them. But yeah, it's cool. I love it. And hopefully, eventually, both of them will be snowboarding around the mountain with us.
What's mad is, and this was something I was thinking about on the way up, like I've interviewed like Mia Langridge,
Yeah.
and she's the youngest person. I haven't interviewed Mia Brooks yet.
Yeah, soon.
No, we'll have to happen soon. And then there's obviously like loads of folk sort of my age or older. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're like the only one that everyone's known from quite a young age.
Yeah.
That's now, talking about their riding with their kids and everything. Do you know what I mean? It's quite it's like, fucking hell, I feel really old now.
Yeah, I can imagine that actually, to be fair, because I've been snowing since I was 6 and going on 33 this year. And it has felt like, it's been my life, hasn't it? So it's crazy because people who did know me from back then, when I was young doing the AIM series and stuff, and I do know mostly everyone. I mean, it's a tight community, the snowboard world in
Well, it
in
is,
the
but I was
UK,
thinking like the last time I saw you, and I think I narrowed it down to, it was during a ski show. We'd all gone out for dinner with Jez.
Yeah.
And I mean, fuck, this is a long
Was
time.
it a curry?
I assume so. And you were there, and you must have been still pretty young at that point.
Yeah, I would have been. Yeah, super young. And now I've got kids. Yeah. And like now my eldest is going 7 this year. It's pretty wild. Time flies though, doesn't it?
It does when they go to school, and it really does. It
really does. But just being able to kind of still be physically fit in terms of like, I've had like knee surgeries and stuff, but it's not causing me issues, and I'm still able to kind of progress and push my snowboarding even at the age I am at now, and would hope to continue doing that well into my 40s, and to have the kids growing up and then be like teenagers when I'm in my 40s is pretty cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't wish time away or anything like that. I try and enjoy every day as it comes, but I hope that, like, to be still a young dad, being able to shred and throw down, and hopefully they think I'm cool and like inspire.
You can hope.
Yeah, I can hope. Got 2 girls, and like inspire them hopefully into not just snowboarding, but like to kind of push their dreams and not be so sucked into this. You got to go and do this. You got and what the general society says, like school and focus on university and getting like results and stuff. Like, I just feel like if I can find what their passions are and really hone in on that and support them the best I can, then that would be, the dream. So whether or not that's snowboarding, gymnastics, football, rugby, or whatever it is,
It's funny that you've just said about a lot of like active pastimes, not. You've talked about just mentioned like sporty things, not anything else. Exactly. Like anything, like it should be anything. I mean, I think if I look back at what, if I think back at what my little one really loves, and she kind of loves all the things like dancing, gymnastics, and I think in the UK, those are kind of like the things that everybody I feel like a lot of people do, and when I was younger, I was obviously very lucky that I had Halifax ski slope like right on my doorstep. But it wasn't until like I was constantly like driving past it to the supermarket that I was like, I really want to have a go at that, because otherwise it would have just been either what I grew up doing at school, which was, rugby, cricket, football, and those were kind of like the things that I was kind of not being pushed into, but they were the only things on offer. Yeah, the available things.
The available things in this country.
Were your parents kind of into skiing or snowboarding in any way?
They weren't before I got into it, and they weren't skiers or snowboarders. I was the first one to start snowboarding in my family, and if we go right back to when I started, there wasn't really a lot of availability in terms of kit for someone of my size
of course.
back then. So it was the case of we went to the slope, booked on a lesson with Robin Hood Water Sports, which I think is still actually going, and they turned up in a van, and in the back of the van was all this kit, just boards, boots, just chucked in
So
the
the
back.
slope didn't have it.
No, it didn't have
at all.
available. It was skis
Right.
only. So it wasn't organised. It was like find what fits you and then go on the slope for a lesson. So it was like we were looking through the back of this and these boots and trying to find a matching pair of boots. I remember my parents saying it was an absolute nightmare, and they were all wet and they weren't even dry from the lesson before. So it was like proper disgusting. And it was a case of like putting on as many socks as I could to get the boots fitting, and then everything was just oversized. And then it took me a while to learn, but I just remember being quite hooked straight away, like constantly obsessed.
Yeah, I was going to say, when
obsessed.
did you sort of like, this is fun, like this is, because the first instances of it, and if you're not used to that world and skiing and whatnot, like it's quite a, it's a physical pastime, isn't it? And the early days are probably the most physical.
Yeah, very, because you're on your bum a lot. But I don't remember that. I remember I don't remember the falling, getting up and trying again, to be honest. I just remember just flying down the hill and absolutely loving it. And for the first time, when I went onto the main slope after I'd passed my lessons, it was just getting airtime was just like, wow, what is this? And grabbing indie for the first time. That was my first grab, was an indie grab. And I'll remember it so much because it's off that bottom left takeoff at Halifax, that little tabletop jump, which is still there now. And it was just like, right, I'm obsessed. And that's where, because I'm a very obsessive person. Like if I get into something, I'm like, it's probably like the ADHD in me that I'm just massively obsessed with stuff and can't let go. And I remember having that when I was a kid, and it was like every night after school I was at Halifax, every night.
Were you seeing kind of magazines or videos or anything around that time either, or you just sort of seeing who was there and that was it?
It was because I was just literally thought, and it sounds mental this, but to me, I saw nothing else out there in the world. I just thought, Halifax, this is what snowboarding is. I didn't put the snow part in my head. I was like, this must be snowboarding. This is what it is. There can't be anything else in the rest of the world. Yeah. And all there is this slope where we can stand on these planks of wood and ride down this slope. So, yeah, that I guess I was kind of just young and just enjoying like every day as it comes. I guess there was no big plans to ever be a professional at it. That was never. I didn't get into it because of that. I got into it because I found something, and luckily found something that I was passionate about at a young age, and kind of honed in on that, and just wanted to progress and learn new tricks. Not because there was some massive shiny goal at the end of it.
I mean, it's quite mad that you, obviously there's probably some natural talent, the obsessive nature, but you're also at a slope where there's permanent freestyle features, because like most dry slopes don't have, it's like, right, we've got to get the ramps out. Yeah. And they only come out at certain times. Yeah,
and we were definitely lucky, because I know I'm probably saying I'm pretty biased, I reckon, but I do think that was the best jump on any dry slope there was up and down the country. Halifax was the best. And there were some good jumps out there, like Warmwell, and like that had a permanent jump. You got Hill End, that was a permanent jump. But I just felt like Halifax just had the right pop. It was like you could get the right the right amount of airtime to do some big tricks like nines and stuff, and it to me just felt like the better one. And I was so glad that I was able to kind of just practice every single night on that jump, and like you say, it was permanently there. So it's just a way of being able to kind of repeat every day to a point where you've done like so many hours on like a specific trick that it just became so easy to do. And I could then take that to other places, and then it was and replicate that in other places and events and competitions. And I think that's why when we go back to the AIM series, like not long after I'd started, it felt, I'm not saying it felt easy, but it was definitely like, because I had that jump and the repetition that I was able to kind of land tricks pretty easily, from what I've.
But you could translate what you did on that particular jump to other jumps, because you know, like obviously not all ramps are the same, and
they're not.
Like
yeah.
Fucking landings are flat, and
and a lot of the landings on dry slope were very flat, if not flat. Like especially at like the Dendex competitions, when like you'd get like it was awful. I'm just glad that I had young knees back then and I'm not doing it now, or I would definitely have no ACLs. So yeah, like, but the rails weren't permanent. That we didn't have permanent rails. We had to get those out at Halifax, but we did every night. The kind of community up there, like, got them out. Like, it was like we got them out every night, and it was like we got whatever we wanted out. There was no like restrictions on what we couldn't have out and what we could have out. It was just like, let's just decide together as community. Well, I wasn't really making the decisions. I was a 7-year-old, but I was just like, from what I remember, I was just like, well, I'll just let everybody else decide, and I'll just ride anything. But yeah, no, it was really fun, and we had a really good scene up there, and I absolutely loved it. I feel very fortunate and lucky that I had a place like Halifax to start snowboarding and that journey, and have the amazing people around me. Like, I mean, we're going back to like Wayne Taylor, Richard Barrows, there's Kiri, another one that always stands out to me, and just a good community of people like Cole Mitten, riding up there, and there's probably so many that I've off the top of my head not mentioned, but just remember it being the best place to kind of, and I was just obsessed of going there and hanging out with everyone.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
When so did you really, was it like the AIM series that then sort of introduced you to other places, and then obviously the wider scene of it all? Yeah,
Stu and Spencer, so them all, like, did a fantastic job from what I remember of just setting up a really good competition circuit. And I kind of think when you think back then, you're always like, oh, this will last, like this is something that, and it makes me quite sad that there's nothing now, or not much in the UK for people to kind of aim for in a way, or like kind of get an idea for where they're at, like in the level of snowboarding. Because there's not as many competitions, and we're very lucky to be able to say that it's like every 2 weeks there was a competition through summer, up and down the country.
School outreach stuff as well. Like, I remember a few years ago.
School outreach,
my kids' school, they were doing a postcard thing, and they were obviously writing to people to send them postcards that they'd then auction off. And I was looking at all these different ones, and some of the kids designed them, and then they'd had some sort of famous people send them in. And Jenny had sent one in.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And I was a bit like, well, that's, she's just a friend of ours.
Yeah.
But the fact that how other people perceive, people like you and Jenny and Billy and everybody that's done, sort of stuff in the more public eye, you sort of take it for granted. Whereas actually to a lot of people, that is a big fucking deal. And that's, and that sort of the fame and everything that, I don't know if it goes along with it, but, there's definitely the perception of it's quite mad. So for when the AIM series was happening and people are going into schools, it makes it really tangible. And then they're like, look, we're talking to you about it. And then you can go and have a lesson.
Yeah. And
like, how many people got into snowboarding through the AIM series? I'd love to know, like, if there's any sort of recordings, stats of that.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting. I know full well that there was quite a lot that came into it, to snowboarding, and started riding at Halifax because of those school tours around the, when the competition was at Halifax. I even went to the one at my school,
Right.
At my high school, and I remember they were doing like lots of like trampolining instructions, like bringing in snow, getting people to kind of like stand in it, like look what it, chat about what it's about. And I remember loads of people getting into it. I mean, even people like Ben Wall, Matt McQuarter, those guys, they all started because of the AIM series, and they were snowboarding for a long time and going to a lot of the competitions, indoor events and dry slopes, and you got like riders like Andy Nudds as well, who again, amazing snowboarder, came from Halifax. So I'm not biased, but a lot of good snowboarders came from Halifax.
That's like
Will
Rosendale
Smith.
back in the day, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
with Steve and Chris and Stu Brass. It was
Katie
like one of
Ormond.
these, well, just one of these
Yeah.
places where kind of people get together, and then it like there's just some sort of electricity about it that then creates like people like, right, I want to do a bit more. I want to get a bit better. And it's sort of everybody feeds off everybody else, and all of a sudden you've got loads of good riders there.
Yeah, loads of good, and that's what makes it so special and amazing. Because if you've got a place like that, it's just you're all bouncing. That energy's there, like it's just good energy, and you're all just kind of feeding off each other. Like someone, Andy Nudds does like a massive front seven off the toes, which was kind of like always remember how amazing that was. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to try it as well. Or you're kind of trying to like kind of egg each other on to try stuff. And it was an amazing. It's such a cool childhood. Like look back, every time I go back there now to my parents' house, they still live in the same house, and I'm straight there. Even if I'm on my own, and there's no, and they literally open the slope upstairs. Like Andrew comes up, and he's like, I'm coming to ride, and he's like, it's not open. I'm like, open it. Like, yeah, I'm
How does it feel when you go back?
A bit lonely. Like it's weird. A bit sad actually. I do get I feel a bit emotional about it. Like things have obviously deteriorated. Like there's lots of green algae, grass growing, moss growing on the slope. Broken. The drop-in ramp is not, it's not what it was, and it's just kind of being left. I mean, Andrew does so well to keep it going as it is, and on very little. And I think the tubing sessions help massively to keep it going, because there's just not really a snowboard scene there anymore. It's kind of died. I mean, the only really one that I know now that a dry slope scene that kind of keeps going is you've got Warmwell and Snow Tracks, and they have a really good freestyle nights and a good scene.
Yeah,
still.
I've seen some of your clips from Warmwell. I've been meaning to go down and have a look.
It's really good, really, really good. So it reminds me a lot of my childhood.
What do you think's the difference between, like, why do you think a scene has stuck around there but not at Halifax or some of the other dry slopes?
I would say, and I'm not going to put it, that it was a factor, but I think having indoor snow domes quite close by to Halifax ski slope, I mean, let's be honest, if you're going to pick one or the other for people to start skiing or snowboarding, you're probably going to go over, start on snow, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so it's like, I guess people just moved to that, I guess,
right.
Like indoor snow domes, and I think people just preferred to learn on that, and I don't blame them, because it's not easy to learn on dry slope. Like it's people think it's
well, I mean, you
mental.
had it easy because you were on them Snowflex, not Dendex.
But again, it was the only option
as
well when I started, and that's still what I thought snowboarding was. So so I just was like, this is it. I'm doing it. There's nothing else to compare it to, and that was the option, and just made the best of what we had, and just enjoy. I just even going back now, I just absolutely love it. And even if I'm riding on my own, I mean, Andrew comes out and he's just he runs Halifax ski slope now, and we just still have a good time. Like even if I'm riding over rabbit poo on the slope, and still enjoy it as much as I did back then, just because it has those nice memories for me, and I still make sure every time I go back I can still do a backside 720 on that jump. Even now,
Nice.
I'm like, I'm still doing it every time I go back up. I'm like, second run in on the jump, backside 720, then go back to the car and go home.
Oh, mate.
I've always wanted to backside double cork 10 that jump, and I've never found. It's probably that moment has probably passed. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I would like to have a go, because I think I could whip it around pretty quick. It would be really fun to do it. Just as like, not because I want to post it or put it on social media or anything like that. I will, but more because I've always I've always wanted to do one just for myself, like to be able to be like, because I've done 10s on it, but just always flat. And I was like, when I went to snow, and then I learned backside double cork 10s when I was like 15, 16. That was on a snow jump, and I was like, I just never went back and did it on dry slope. So I think that would be really cool. So maybe one day.
Definitely. Well, I mean, if you think you can do it, I mean, I'm sort of stoked on grabbing my board. You know what I mean? These days, it's like I have to do some stretching to make sure I can still get down there.
Well, I still can't do a good method. I can only do a switch one and not a normal one. I don't know why my hips don't work that way, but yeah, it is what it is. I had to learn switch straight airs off big jumps so I could at least do a switch method, which actually still scares the living daylight out of me. But yeah, good times. It was just, I look back, and like, even to the point where I was like, I used to ring up the slope, and I used to live 5 minutes away, and I'd be like to Andrew, I'd be like, "What's the weather like?" He's like, "It's the same as you are." Wait, because I was always used to ring up because I was like, "Is it windy or is it raining?"
Yeah.
And he'd be like, "It's probably the same as where you live right now. You are only 5 minutes away." But he used to do it without fail. Like every time I got back from school at 3 o'clock, I'd ring the slope and be like, "What's the weather like?" And he mentioned it to me a few weeks back when I was up there, and I was just laughing so hard because it's just so funny how I used to, just so naive that I just was like, yeah, the weather's exactly the same, mate. Like, it's not changed.
I think that's so
So
sweet.
innocent.
You were so into it that you needed to know all the details.
All the details. I was obsessed. All the details. Yeah, needed to know what the temperature was, because we used to have this clock on the side of the building. It used to tell the time and the temperature. I used to be obsessed with the temperature because I'd be like, is it going to be 0 degrees? And is it going to snow? And then when it sleeted, I was like, it's 0. Why is it not snowing? And I used to get really annoyed. Like, I used to remember like being to Wayne, like, why is it not snowing? He's probably like, the temperature's wrong, mate, or something like that. And I'm like, but it says 0. It should be snowing. And I was like obsessed so much with like weather and just being able to like, hopefully one day it snows at Halifax.
That's like the snow on dry slope is like fucking holy grail, isn't
It's
it?
a fucking dream. Yeah, and there was not many times it happened, but when it did, I don't even think I went to school. I think I literally just stayed at Halifax.
Fair enough. Was there a point when like you realised like you're actually getting pretty good and that there might be something more to it than just kind of like an obsession or just a pastime?
Interesting. I don't recall a time where it clicked that I was like really good at it. I think naturally it kind of.
But I mean, maybe more in terms of like a conversation with your parents or.
Yeah, there were times. I guess there were, because I was winning a lot of events at the AIM Series and British Championships and stuff like that quite young, and in the overall category as well.
Yeah.
From quite young. And I guess in a sense, I had people around me saying that I was...
Stu rubbing his hands.
Good.
Thinking, there's going to be some money in this for me.
Oh, Stu. I love Stu. He helped me a lot in my early days, for sure. I mean, just giving me a platform to be even have those results, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember he took me under his wing on Soul Sports back then. And then... I guess I figured that I was doing all right because I had like a massive box of gold medals. So I figured, doing quite well. But not to the point that I was like ever thinking like, I just thought that was it. I didn't think there was this big world out there of snowboarding.
Right.
That's quite like this, I was still in my bubble. I was in like a little UK snowboard scene bubble, and then it wasn't till like I was a little bit older then when I went on snow to the mountains, like, oh my God, what is this? This is actually snowboarding. And then starting to compete abroad internationally was then when it was like, okay, like this is a lot different. I was quite, I was in my bubble for sure in the UK scene, but I was enjoying it and I had some really good results. And like we sometimes had like international, they were called like the Burton Am series, I think that's what they were called. Then we had the Burton Scrap Metal, and I think they had some international riders coming over, and then you can kind of have a guess to kind of where you're at. But I was still doing really well in those from what I remember, and like getting, you know, gold, silver, bronze, like top 3 in most of them. And it wasn't until I was probably like 12, 13 when it kind of dawned on me that I was like, okay, like starting to, you know, get some results like abroad as well.
Yeah.
And
I mean, how do you facilitate then, like going abroad? So I guess your parents have to
go. Yeah. I remember them. My parents got like a camper van, and we travelled around to like different events. The O'Neill Evolution. These were all the Ticket to Ride competitions back then. The Burton European Open, and just started to do those and not really getting anywhere. Like I wasn't placing top 10 like in these events. It was a very big eye opener to be like, okay, right, because in the UK I was maxing out what I could potentially do on these jumps. Like I was doing 9s from pretty young, spinning all 4 directions, and I was kind of feeling like I'd maxed out my I'm not like say like maxed out my potential, but because there's always room for creativity and different tricks. But I just felt like and then when I went to jumps and then saw like people like the size of them were so much bigger. I mean, like houses. So just getting over that fear was quite scary, and I'd already started like having those fears, like even quite young, I'd say, like, oh my gosh, these are huge. Like, I remember the O'Neill Evolution Big Air, and I was like, oh, the quarter pipe, and you were just running down this steep like ski jump landing into this massive quarter pipe, this icy wall of death, and all I've been riding is this side quarter pipe at Halifax. Like, so the difference was quite massive. And I remember like looking back now as when this one kid who was just winning everything, and he was really good, and it was Seb Toots, and I just remember going massive out of the quarter pipe, and I was like, wow, like now this is like, that's the level. Like internationally, that's like where you want to be when you're winning events. So, and then I quite like to have been like, then started to like really try and get up there, but it was hard. I was going away twice a year to the mountains. It wasn't like I was living in the mountains all the time. And it wasn't until I was 15, 16 when I actually started to earn an income from snowboarding that it was able to like support me to travel and go around the world snowboarding.
And what's the kind of what was the catalyst to then getting an income?
I think it's hard to recall exactly what happened, but I think obviously I had a really good career like in the UK and doing really well in terms of like even the Brits in lax and stuff. Like, and I remember kind of Stu set it up that I started working with a guy called Bob Klein.
Oh, I know that name.
And he was working for Octagon, an agency, and I signed with him, and then he got me my first deals with Quicksilver and Red Bull and Oakley, and there's a lot of like it was cool, and that was when I started to like earn an income from it. And then I was able to then like have a call. I had a call with Hamish McKnight as well when I was around 15, 16, and he was like inviting me to come out for a camp in Hintertux. And then that kind of snowballed from there, from what I remember. I still find
it quite wild that Hamish has achieved what he's achieved from sort of how I know him.
Well, yeah, and I didn't know Hamish from being young.
No, right.
Not really. I remember meeting Hamish McKnight a few times probably before that, but I didn't know him as a snowboarder.
Right.
I knew him as a coach.
Oh, right.
So it was like when he started to kind of do the kind of GB team stuff.
Yeah.
That was like when I started to know him a little bit, and then kind of took me under his wing, and I was out in Hintertux, and then it snowballed from there really. That the income kind of flowed in, and then I was able to travel to different events and competitions. And there was one year where I remember just driving around in the van with Hamish, and he always so it was quite funny because we used to just go to different events and picking up checks from here, there, and everywhere. These massive big checks, the big checks, and we had a stack of them in the van because we'd gone to like Ride Shakedown. There was loads of other different events that we'd done, the Burn River Jump in Livigno, over the river, and just this was kind of like around the time when, so I just had that call, went to Hintertux. That was the season where we primarily stayed in Meerhofen, and then that was when I learned backside double cork 10s when I was 16, and there was very few people doing them back then. And then I just kind of took that trick to all these various different events and was getting top 3, and I had a really good couple of seasons where I did quite well. Cash wise, from what I remember.
It's quite wild though, like if you think about most sort of 15, 16, 17-year-olds, like you had a job essentially.
Yeah, not that I knew it. I didn't like.
Did you ever sort of feel that?
Didn't really ever feel like a job. I just felt like it was paying me to go around the world to snowboard, and I wasn't really making anything of it because I was pretty much just spending the whole lot on travelling and going around the world. So because, I think it's easy to forget, like, especially even now, it's like, for me to be able to do my job and travel and snowboard around the world, I not only need to earn an income to be able to fund that, but I also need to earn an income to fund my life back home and my like, my kids and the house and stuff. So it's like you need to earn 2 incomes, like double the amount to basically do it nowadays. And back then I was no idea because I was living at my parents and not having to pay anything. But it does become difficult because it's expensive. Like you're spending 30-40k traveling around the world quite easily. Snowboarding, like especially if you're going, to America loads and then to
Did you
Asia
never fancy settling in the mountains somewhere?
No, I can't remember. I don't recall ever really having an opportunity where I was just like, oh, maybe I should find a place. Maybe it would have been good to do that, because looking back, I'm like, yeah, that would have been way more cost effective, and I would have been able to be in the mountains full time.
I don't just mean cost effective though, just being around it, and obviously you love being in the mountains. But... yeah,
but I also love being at home, and this was the hard thing. I think I was such a home bird that I was just like, I was in the mountains for 2 weeks, and I was like, get me back to Halifax, because that felt like a secure place for me. I've struggled with a lot of like the travel stuff, actually, I'm not gonna lie. Like even going to America for the first time, I was like, I remember panicking about it. I remember Chris Moran actually, I don't know if he remembers, but I remember him like kind of settling my nerves a little bit about going on a long haul flight.
Right.
I just remember him like speaking to me about it, like it'll be okay. Like I just thought the plane was going to fall out of the sky.
That's fair. I think a lot of people feel like that when they sit on the plane.
I was like, how can this tin can fly like 9 hours across the sea? And then
I share that opinion.
So I think I was just a bit worried about going anywhere. I just remember it, like as a kid, but obviously snowboarding is, it involves a lot of travelling.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that coming, to be honest, growing up at Halifax and just being in my little bubble in Queensbury. Just didn't see it. And then it all kind of snowballed into that, and I was kind of like thrown into it. I felt like I was thrown into it, to be fair, because I never felt like it was, it's weird, why would I say this, but I never felt like it was my decision, is it? Like I would have been quite happy just riding Halifax for the rest of my life. I think. I honestly do. Like, it was cool and everything, and I don't regret anything, but I don't think I was fully happy. I think I was just doing it because it was like I was kind of getting pushed in that direction.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and that was the only path that I found, was because I was really young, I guess. Like, if it was like it was now, I'd do what the fuck I want. No, I literally, like, I guess you get, I don't know, you hit a certain age and you just like, I literally don't care. Like, I'll just do what makes me happy. But back then, I think you're thinking, I need to please everyone at that age, you know, and you worry about what people think. And it went on for quite a while like that. Like, I would say even to the fact that, like, even going to the Olympics was like, I wasn't even sure. Like, I was like, I left it so last minute because I was so worried about what people thought about as a rider, one, going to the Olympics and what that affects my career. Does it affect, like, things? Because you hear all the, you know, like Terrier and a lot of people saying that, you know, Olympics is not good for snowboarding. And I was worried that if I go to the Olympics, am I just jumping on that bandwagon with everybody else? Like,
that's interesting. I was wondering if you knew about that or even thought about that, because obviously
massively.
by the time sort of Sochi came along, sort of it felt as if almost that argument had been sort of done and dusted, and it's like, well, some people are into it, some people aren't.
Yeah, and I think I was very much worried about how it would come across in terms of, like, am I selling out? Is that the right word? Like, to just kind of jump on that hype train of the Olympics, and because it was very much like all about, I don't know, it just felt all about like kind of core ticket to ride competitions, and that all kind of got taken over by Fizz and
totally.
And it just, all those kind of those events that were organised by snowboarders, and all the format and everything and the fun of it kind of just went out the window.
Right.
Like, what it felt like, and I think it has. Like, you don't see many. Like, I mean, we look back to, like, when I even was competing in Tokyo at the Burton Rail Days. Like, you know, you don't have many of those events anymore. Not at that level.
No.
Not with that prize money.
Definitely no.
Like, definitely not. And yeah, it just felt like all that kind of went away once the Olympics came along. But the Olympics has also given me opportunities in other areas, so it has its, like, it has its bonuses for sure. And I have now looking back, I not really any regrets doing it, because I think I did leave it really late. Like, I mean, I'm talking to the point where Hamish calls me up and he's like, mate, you've got, like, from what I remember, I feel like this is how I remember it anyways, but, like, you literally have a few events left to qualify. Because I was literally like, I'm not doing it. Like,
right.
I'm not going to, like, I'm not going to that qualifying event or whatever. So I actually missed a lot of qualifying events for Sochi. And it wasn't until, like, the last few that I was like, all right, I'm going.
What about your peers? You know, like, who are you riding with at the time? Because there's loads of good riders, and you were sort of in the mix.
Yeah, I was in the mix.
You were on Nike at the time as well, so you obviously there was a Nike team who were, you know, of all the good people that you'd want to be around. Surely, were they not talking to you saying, you know, like, why aren't you coming?
I think we had mixed fit. I think between the team, it was very mixed feelings from it. Like, you've got, on the other hand, you've got, like, Haldor Helgeson, Ethan Morgan, and, you know, quite a few other riders that are, like, probably not so, like, they tried to go to it, I think, because I don't know their story or anything, but it just didn't seem to, like, and I'm not saying this badly or anything, but maybe it just didn't seem to fit their, like, style or their snowboarding, like, you know, this Olympics. Like, maybe it just didn't feel right, and I felt like I was a lot different. I felt I was more of a competitive snowboarder rather than a filming snowboarder. So eventually it kind of felt right to just kind of give it a shot, but I left it a bit last minute and to qualify. And by the skin of my teeth, qualified at the last event in Quebec, from what I remember. I can't remember the result. You might have to look on, it's probably on Wikipedia or something. I think it was like a 6th place or 7th or something like that, from what I recall. I had to like get that result to like qualify.
Yeah.
So I left all the pressure on myself for the last event, and it was a bit silly, really. Looking back, kind of listened to too many people. I think that's the problem when you're that age. You're easily influenced.
Yeah, a lot of people have lots of opinions, right?
And yes, lots of opinions. And and at that age, you just don't really. You just kind of. You're just listening to the people in your close circles, I guess. And we didn't have social media, and we didn't have things like it was all print in magazines and stuff like that, wasn't it? Still, so you didn't have that. You literally were like in your bubble.
Yeah.
But there was good people in that. Like obviously, you had John Weaver, who was the Nike TM, and then you've got Sani.
What was his take on it, just out of interest? Because
From what I remember, I don't know.
I've interviewed him recently.
I actually don't know what his take was on it, because I don't think I ever spoke. I think he was all for it. I think the Olympics, because I remember Nike playing a big part in the Olympic team, because we had like special Olympic boots. Like it wasn't like we had like really cool Olympic kit. So in a sense, I guess if you're working with Nike, they're obviously going to be pushing for that, right? Like
you
athletes
would think
to be
a brand like that. That's a big platform.
Yeah,
right? You're not gonna.
They're not good. Yeah. So I think it was mainly probably just listening to the riders. I think, and we're all chit chatting about what's it good for, and Terrier's saying this and whatever, and you just kind of like listening to those kind of. I guess at that time they're like oh, like it's Terrier, like, and like. So thinking back to then, I think it was just a lot of noise. There was a lot of noise and a lot of different opinions, and it left it a little bit late, I think, to kind of choose that path. But I'm glad I did. I think it was a really cool experience. And the first one's always good, because I just had nothing to. I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
You don't expect it, expect it to be this massive thing. Like you see it on TV for the summer and stuff, but you don't really get the scale of it until you're really there. You're like, wow, this is actually really big. Like all the massive TV trucks and stuff, and like the amount of production and stuff like that goes into it. Like I've never seen that before. So it was a really cool experience.
How many have you been to?
2. Yeah, 2.
Sochi, the second one.
Sochi was the first, Pyeongchang was the second, and out of both of them I enjoyed Sochi the most. Just because I felt like I was going into it not really expecting anything. Probably went into it a little bit of an underdog as well, which I quite liked. There was no pressure on me.
Yeah.
Felt there was just no pressure. I was riding for Nike. I was absolutely loving it. I was getting paid well as well. So I was just enjoying life. Partying.
I mean, you laced it as well, didn't you? What did you get? 5th in the end?
No, everyone thinks I got 5th.
I think because Tim on Tim on something recently said 5th.
I'll take it. I got 6th. But I remember I was doing because I went into it with a run, right, and it was like I'm gonna do 10, 9, 10. And that's like what I've practiced for this competition. Got there and I was like, did that on the first run. I was like, right, this is just nowhere near qualifying. People have either hidden tricks away.
Yeah. Practicing out the back.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just realised that I was like, I'm not going to qualify with this run at all. Spoke to Hamish at the top. What do I do? And I just remember I said to him, I'm like, well, I'm just going to do a switch frontside 14, because I've done the switch frontside 10, perfect, landed that good. And I was like, oh, it's just adding a 360 on. And the jump's quite big, so I was like...
The jumps were fucking huge.
They were massive. I don't think I've ever hit a bigger jump than that. Well, maybe it's Super Park back in the days. But they were like special jumps. Like
Yeah.
you take a lot of time, and
Even now, like when you look at
Yeah.
the footage back, they're still like, yeah, they're pretty big jumps.
they were like I literally look at. I was thinking the other day. I was like, they are literally like a house. They were
Yeah.
houses. Like those jumps are built very different now. They were big back then. Like, and yeah, I just was like, I'll have the airtime definitely, because there was so much airtime on those jumps, much more than I'd practiced on other jumps previous to the Olympics. So it was a case to do that switch frontside 14 or nothing to lose really.
Yeah.
Like it's like kind of go for it. So went for it and it worked out perfectly. And I remember landing that run and I qualified to. I think from what I remember, I skipped. I think if you were in the top 2, you qualified straight through to finals.
Right.
And I think the next 3 were in a semi-final, something like that, from what I can remember. So I qualified top 2. So I was like advanced straight to finals, so skipped semis. And I was just like, wow. And then that's when it really kind of hit me, because I was like, the amount of interviews, it was like in the papers. It then became like big, like, oh my god, this is quite big. And then it then got to finals day, and then it's all live on TV, because I don't think qualies was live from back then. So I think it was just like finals was live, and then I really was like, but I still think I was just having a good time, and I was just basically winging the whole thing, because I then was like to Hamish in practice that I probably need to do a backside triple in practice an hour before the competition starts. So I'm like, right, better chuck one of these off the last jump. Did 2 in practice, fell on both of them. So I was like, right, well, great start. And then it gets to the event, and I'm just in that zone where I'm like, well, I've made an Olympic final. Like, wow, this is really, really cool. And I don't think it really bothered me then what happened.
Yeah.
It just, I knew I was probably going to be pushing it to get a medal, like with the tricks that I had. And I think if I'd landed, everyone had had to fall. So at least the top 5, top 10 guys, like, because I knew that they were doing like, back-to-back 12s and stuff like that, and I didn't have that in my locker. So I think I do the first run, switch frontside 14, switch backside 9, backside triple 14, and bolted it, hit or miss. Like the jumps were okay, I had a couple of hand touches, but nothing like I was going to be like holding my weight up. Like it was just like hand slap. Yeah, that's the difference. So yeah, nothing crucial. The only thing that, if you go back and look at it, was my second rail feature, where I took just a little bit too much speed into that cannon rail, came up a little bit flat between that rail and then the second. So that section had 2 rails on it. Yeah. So like an up rail landing pad to a down bar. And I think because I overshot that, and I really did put a hand down, and it really wobbled me on the second feature. Yeah. I actually slipped off the rail like probably 2 feet before the end. So that really did cost me a few points on that first run. But I mean, literally, I'm just picking at it here, but I don't think it was a medal run, even with that mistake. Even if it was absolutely perfect, I think maybe bubble like 4th, 5th, something like that. But it was just super surreal, like to land that and just be like, oh, okay, like this is huge, and yeah, it was just an amazing feeling. I really enjoyed it. And then the second one was just like, right, I'll try a switchback 12, which again I've never done. And I'm so bloody glad I fell on the first rail, so I didn't have to do it. So I was like, that's it. That's it done, because we only had 2 runs. Now it's 3 runs, isn't it? So the format's definitely changed a lot. But
so when you're sitting watching Mia in the big air, we won't talk about her slopestyle because I don't really know what happened there. But in the big air, when it came down to her last run, and like she's got to do something that she possibly hasn't done before.
Yeah, there's just no other option. Like,
did you you'll be one of the few people that can recognise that situation and know how she feels.
I knew as soon as she dropped in, I knew what she was going to try, because you've laced like the switch frontside 14 absolutely perfect to perfection. The backside 1260, which I've always said is one of the best, and it is. Like the style, the grab, everything about it is so good. So it's like, where do you go from here? Because I know her switch landings are better. Like in terms of like, backside 14 is like, you know, you going normal and landing normal. I was like, she's probably not going to do that because she'd have to dip, and it's a massive change.
Right.
Because if you're doing backside 12s all the time, the backside 16 is pretty much similar. It's just with a bit more rip, but the axis doesn't change. So there's not much of the trick changing. So I was like, there was really only that option. If she was going switch, I would have more argued, bloody hell, she's going to go switch 18. So I was like, it was either one of those, I think. I mean, maybe it's different, but I don't know. After speaking to Ben, I kind of knew, like before the Olympics, that maybe that was a trick she was going to try.
Yeah.
If she had to. And she was bloody close. Very, very close. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's a trick she's going to start doing in her sleep very soon, to be honest, because there's not much difference there. And from going from experience, because I've done a few back 16s, it doesn't change much from the 12 to the 16. But obviously, it's just spotting that landing. It's a little bit faster rip, a bit more spinning. It's a bit harder to spot. That's the only difference, really. And try not to over-rotate to that heel edge. And that's unfortunately what happened. It was just that.
See her body opened up.
It was like, the feet were good.
Yeah.
Like, the toe edge actually did bite in the snow. But it was that top half, the body was still wanting to go around. So it's like going to be really hard to fight that on the landing and stop that from flipping over to the heel edge. But again, just to do that with, because I know what the pressure's like when you're up there and how bloody lonely it is when you've done all your high five and your knuckles to your coach, and then you like you take that deep breath and everything goes quiet, and it's just like, this bloody scaffolding ramp jump. Like you.
I mean, are you able to turn, the noise off?
You are.
I mean, the only
weird
thing I can equate to, I went and did a line in lax with Ed Lee a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And this was like my first run, possibly, I think, of that season.
Yeah.
And I was stood at the top. He dropped in and went down, and it's the big line right at the top.
Yeah.
And I was stood there like on my own, and it's like, oh fucking hell, like, I'm 50. Told my wife that I'm not going to do anything ridiculous, and here I am on the fucking Hollywood line in lax. And you get the voices going, you shouldn't be here, and then the other voice going, come on, you've done shit like this before, it's fine. But what is that? Like times that by a million. Is that what it is like?
Yeah, it's like that. 100%. You're just up there with your own thoughts, like you say, and it's really. It's you don't want to leave it too long. No. That's what I've heard from experience. You don't want to be up there for too long. Like sometimes even when I'm watching it on the TV and there was a few people that left it long, and I was like, they're leaving it a bit long. Like in my house, what's going through their head? Like, it's really hard to stay super focused on what you're doing without other little things creeping into your head. Or at least for me anyways, because all sorts creep into my head. So I'm just like, all these little noises. Like it's like someone's yapping in your ear, and you just try to back them away. You say, I shouldn't be here. My wife told me I shouldn't, or whatever. So, leaving it too long, and it goes without saying, it's the same for a new trick as well. You don't leave that. If you want to try a new trick, you go up there, and you just do it. Because if you spend too long thinking about it, it just doesn't happen. It's a very lonely place, but but also amazing. All the noise soon as you drop in, it's like all of that goes away. Like you don't even hear the MC or the announcer or anything. Right, you don't even hear the crowds. Like you completely.
Do you write with music as well? Or did
no, I don't actually. I do when I'm chilling, but when I was riding contests, I never listened to music. Mainly just because I like to hear the sound of my snowboard on the snow. Yeah. The noises.
I'm the same. I don't like riding with music.
What? I just feel like you're blind.
Mm.
It's weird. I feel like sound, even just that take off on the lip, or just that noise of the wind, or just all those like really make a massive difference for me.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, so it's it's really interesting that. But when I'm riding and cruising around, I'll listen to music, or in the start gate, like before I'm about to drop in, I might listen to music or play a game or something just to kind of keep my focus, like from not just overthinking things.
Sure.
So those were like coping mechanisms, I guess I used for this stressful time, and smashed a bag of Tanfastics as well before I dropped in.
Oh, nice.
Just to get the old sugar levels really high and then have a massive low after. But yeah, just it was a really cool experience, and then obviously we can talk about 2018. But I'd rather, like, that was not a good games for me. Like in terms of, I just missed out on finals, and I think I was going through a lot in terms of I felt way more pressure, and then Katie really hurt herself. And that threw me massively when she smashed her heel. I was right behind her as well, so we were like riding down, and we took a run, and she dropped in first, and I was like, I'll come a little bit behind you, I'll leave some space, we'll just cruise down together, test the jumps, whatever, like you do, you follow each other in, like that's just part of it. And then just I was on the rail, and she was already like hitting the knuckle, and I was just like exploded, and I was just like, like fuck, like. And it was bad, like just the screams and the pain of her, and being my cousin and family and stuff. And then that just really shook me, that whole Olympics, knowing that she was in hospital and stuff like that, and going through that in Korea, of all places.
Away from home, like, speaking to her mum on the phone. Like, I'm the only person really there that's her family. So it was really difficult. And then I was filming like this Olympic film series thing, and there's just lots going on at that Olympics that I was just like, felt just massively overwhelmed. Hopefully you don't hear that. That's all right.
The garage door opening. Hopefully no one's stealing my bike.
These things. I mean, do you need to check?
Nah, it's fine. Now we're good. But yeah, so that Olympics I felt like was a little bit, not I'm saying it was a write-off, because I still had in theory I still had a good result. Like, just missing finals isn't that bad.
But I guess everybody remembers Sochi and you doing well.
Yeah.
I mean, that might have been bigger news if Jenny hadn't gone on and got a fucking medal, right?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Thanks, Jen. Yeah. No,
but for that year, never an on-snow medal, and then all of a sudden there's two people in finals. And one of them brings one home. Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of the Olympics, that is a big story.
And she deserved it. Massively worked so hard, and we were all so happy for her. And it was just a really good way of rounding off that whole trip. Really, it was amazing. And then then I had like I had quite a success in World Cups. Like, I didn't even know this stat, being like the first GB male snowboarder to win a World Cup or whatever it was.
Right.
Like, that stat was just, I didn't know that until it was on Wikipedia. So or in the
Googling
news.
Yourself.
Or in the news. Someone's telling, been Googling myself. Who even updates those things? But yeah, that was an interesting one. Like, I never knew that. And that was in Czech Republic, and that was cool, because that was after that Sochi. And then went on to do and then I came back and got a top 3 again at that same event, and then did really well in one in Italy, which was again like I think Seppi Smits won that one, and then I was second. But again, just like, just
do you think that all these other things get overlooked because of the Olympics? Do you think that's like an important part?
But they're just the same level.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they're as important as a professional athlete.
Yeah, they're as important, because they're still high-level events. They're World Cups. Basically, they're all the same guys that are at the Olympics anyways. You've just got a heck of a lot more riders, but all the same riders are still there. Like, it's still a big thing. But yeah, they definitely, I feel like they do. I guess they get overlooked in terms of general people who don't snowboard or don't follow it. I guess that's the same with anything, with ski racing or whatever. Like, there's still like all the same people on the circuit. It's just the Olympics. It's just this the main event, isn't it? It's all televised and made into this big thing. But
yeah, I'm just wondering whether the Olympics kind of sucks up
it does. I think it
people's
does.
attention for it, or whether actually, you know,
But
if there wasn't that, it might get shown maybe a bit more if a British rider's doing well.
Yeah.
In the mainstream.
But you got to think
Sunday.
as well, like, even though I didn't win a medal in Sochi, and I still, you know, did well, people forget about it pretty quickly. Like, it's done. Like, it's over. Like, 2 weeks. Like, I mean, if you're in the snowboard in the UK scene and you remember results like that, but to the general public, like, it's been and done. Even to the guys that have won medals at this Olympics just gone now, do people really care? I don't know. Like, do people just kind of carry on with their lives?
I think
and
people instantly forget most
instantly
things, don't
forget, because we're so, like, I mean, we're just fed so much news and so much going on that it's just hard to, like, even digest most of the time. So yeah, it is interesting. But
does your successes, did that mean that there's more funding available? So
I think so, yeah.
You know, sort of the next generation coming through, like, have more opportunity because...
Certainly.
I mean, I
Jenny's
know for a medal, but does just, like, finals, does that make a difference?
Well, I don't think we had... Sochi was a bit of a different one, because I don't think we went into it with, like, an expectation as much for, like, team medals like we do now.
Yeah.
Like, there's way more pressure on the guys now going into it, because it's like, we have to hit these targets to require funding to go into these pockets, I guess, like, you know, snowboarding or ski racing or whatever it is, bobsleigh, luge. You know, if results happen mainly in those areas, then the funding gets taken and been like, right, it goes here, like, into this pot. So it really, and do you know what? And I know that we had good success in the skiing. You know, we had good success there. But, you know, with Zoe winning the medal, but again, like, and then we have the border cross, you know, got the golds there. But it does worry me, because I'm like, do those people who don't snowboard, who make those decisions where the money goes, I just really hope that they see those 4th place results as, like, a massive win for you, like, for snowboarding and skiing in this country, because we were so unlucky to not get a medal in those disciplines, and I really hope that doesn't affect future funding for snowboarding and skiing in the UK, because those are still huge results and should be well respected, and should still, in my opinion, funding should still be the same, if not more, because I feel like as a team we did really well at this games. Yeah. Because we had a lot of fourths and we did, like, get some really good results. We just didn't get a lot of medals. But I think overall, I feel like everyone did really well, and I'm hoping that reflects in the funding given to, and gives the opportunity to the next generation coming up.
But if you think as well about the culture of it, you know, kind of Tim and Ed and Jenny on the commentary.
Amazing.
You know, like, that has reached a way bigger audience than maybe just the events on their own without those people presenting it. Do you know what I mean? So I think...
Well, they make it fun, and they make it, like, snowboarding and skating. This is cool.
Yeah,
like,
and
you know, the commentary's not serious or anything. They're really good at, like, breaking it down in terms of, like, to the, you know, your grandma at home who has no idea what's going on and stuff. Like, they, you know, and it's just the banter. I just think it's just the classic humour. It's just the banter, the fun, the way they, like, kind of bounce off each other. There's just, hopefully there's just anyone else doing it as well. And I think, we're really lucky to have, you know, commentators like Tim and Ed. And I mean, we've known Tim and Ed for a long time. They've been around a bit. Even when I was a kid, like, Tim presented me my awards at the AIM series, and he was emceeing back then. You know, it's funny, isn't it, how, you know, these guys have been around for a long time, and then it's amazing now, like, everyone's like Tim and Ed, like, you know, like, they're like, you know, and it's just, and I think what they've done at this Olympics has been amazing. I've absolutely loved listening to them. They've been so funny. And all the social media kind of BTS stuff has been great.
Yeah, it's
It's been brilliant to watch, yeah. And it does massively help. And I think people just fit, and I hope people see that snowboarding is a sport of inclusivity, and everyone is welcome. There's none of this cliquiness. Like if you come to the Snowdome to try out snowboarding for the first time, and you then want to have a go at snowboarding on rails and jumps, there is lots of people there that would help and guide you, and I think, you know, they show that, I think, through their commentary for sure, that it's like a sport that everyone's welcome.
I think so.
Yeah.
Let's get away from the Olympics now.
Yeah.
That is only a very small part of your career.
Yeah.
When did you decide to sort of stop competing? Like, how do you know what that looks like, and then what to do next after that?
I think I was getting burnt out after 2018 Olympics. I think I did some events after and stuff, and I was starting to like kind of just not like enjoy it anymore. Did it for a long time, and even growing up as a kid, I was always at competitions and stuff, aim series and stuff. I think that was mainly felt like my whole snowboarding career was competing, and which I absolutely loved. But I think it gets to a point where you like becomes the same, and then I got married, and then we had Lily for the first time, and I was just like, I don't want to be doing this constantly, like
now it's part of growing.
It's part of growing up, and I think I just got to that point. It's just like, this isn't really for me anymore, and I wasn't really loving snowboarding then, like, and I think I had to really just go, like, take a step back and be like, I'm just gonna go and ride indoor and go and ride dry slope and go back to like why I got into snowboarding in the first place, and just enjoy that, creating content, riding, making little films, which is what I used to love doing at Halifax. We used to take a little camcorder up. Me and Will Smith and Andy Nudds used to make gas pipe sessions, you know, on the rail, and we used to just film it. And that is what I've always loved doing in snowboarding. Like, more than anything else, it's just competing was just a way of me being able to like carry that on, of being able to do it in the off time.
Well, I mean, quite early on, you would have seen like the impact of, you know, when David Benedict came over and did In Short. We mentioned that just before we started recording.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
like, you would have understood the importance of video and how much bigger a reach you can get if you do things like that. Yeah,
and it just stays around. Like, it never gets forgotten. I feel like video parts are just, everyone remembers like the video parts that really like inspired them.
Well, I think especially with that movie In Short. I think it's on our YouTube. If it isn't, I'll put it up on there. But it's Benedict was particularly good at translating the feeling of it. So you got a real sense, like the bit at Halifax, you got a real sense of what it would feel like to go snowboarding there. Do you know what I mean? And that stays with you longer than just seeing some tricks or a competition, whatever. Do you know what I mean? And then so you're part of a thing that certainly I've watched countless times because of the feeling of, like, that feeling of snowboarding that it gives you, which is more important.
And it is that feeling from what you describe is the feeling that always brings me back to snowboarding. That's why it's just those memories that I have, and it's why I still do it. It's why I build ramps in my garden, for God's sake. It's why it's snowboarding is like something I love so much. I'll do it on anything. Like, if I can't get to the mountains, right, how can I snowboard? Like, how can I do this every week? And that's what, because I love it so much. I constantly like trying to come up with new creative ways of doing tricks. But I
mean, not many people build a ramp and a rail in their garden, right? So
no, it's that going back to that obsession again. It's like I'm obsessed with like.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with say, for instance, your missus. I haven't met your missus yet, so I don't know what she's like. But that, like, yeah, I've got an idea. Listen, I've got an idea.
Well,
I'm going to do this. What do you think?
she understands because she's come from snow. She's a snowboarder.
Right.
Like, she understands snowboarding. She's worked in snow sports for a long time in marketing and stuff like that.
Okay.
This is how we met, through the snow centre. She was
Sure.
marketing manager at the snow centre, and that's how we met. And she's done seasons and worked seasons before, so she understands. Like,
Yeah.
COVID happens, we're locked down, we can't go anywhere. Okay, what can I do? Right, I've got 4 pallets in the garden. I reckon I can build something.
Yeah.
So I'm knocking up something with like whatever I can find, because again, we can't go anywhere, we're locked down. And I just build this like small ramp in the garden. I'm not even sure it's going to work. I ordered this, I'm like, what could I use as a surface? So I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, right, grass maybe? Nah, grass is not going to work. I was like, well, I've ridden down grass before when it's wet, like not like real grass. And I'm like, that works. But surely, like, I was thinking at Halifax, we have that like fake stuff, like the felt stuff on the side of the thing. And I was like, I used to slide that all the time, like kind of ride up the side of the snowflakes, do a little spray on that, and it worked fine. So I was like, right, okay, get some thin AstroTurf grass or whatever I could find online. So I order it, comes, and I'm like, build this little setup in my garden, tiny garden in just outside of Guildford, and I'm like, this is it. I'm gonna make my rail tricks absolutely insane. I'm gonna be like repeat, and I did that every single night. I was out there in the garden once the kids are in bed, just riding, and my neighbours were just like,
I was going to say, did your neighbours take any umbrage against you?
They just loved it. I think a lot of them sometimes watched out the window, and I was just riding my little setup in my garden for hours in the evening, just absolutely loving it. And like, I filmed a few bits, but I just had some music on and had my little drink outside, and was just enjoying my time by myself, just riding this little ramp.
You time.
Bit of me time, yeah, exactly. Just, yeah, like what else could we do? And I was like, couldn't travel, couldn't go anywhere. So it's like this, and that was the whole start of the kind of DIY back garden setups. And gosh knows how many people it's inspired to do it, because I've had so many messages from all over the world, people in like Hawaii, like building them, like they've pulled them out the back of their car, they've got some turf on a bit of a ramp, and they've just gone to a parking place on like a grass bank near a car park, and just put it down a little rail they've made and just started sessioning. And I absolutely love that something so silly, like a little thing I had in my head was just like, oh, I'll just do this in the garden, and hopefully it's a way of me being able to snowboard, but it's actually inspired people to do it in places and countries.
Well, I think it's one of those things, like
access.
Our garden's got a bit of an incline to it. And I've often thought, and you sort of sit there and you're looking and thinking about like, what can you do? And I think a lot of people have thought about, how do I put something in my back garden, or how do I snowboard more than I am? Yeah. And you went and basically did it.
Yeah.
And so I can see why lots of people be attracted to that stuff.
It just makes it a little bit more accessible, because it doesn't have to be expensive. And people are always like, how much did it cost and stuff like that? So I was like, well, not very much, because I just used what I had available to me. Pallets, you can pretty much ask a mate. Like, I'm sure there's loads of people off the street like want to get rid of some pallets. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, like it probably costs companies to get rid of pallets. So it's like, there's an easy way to get stuff, like if you just smart about it and just kind of explore and see what options you have. And it doesn't cost. The only thing that really cost was the turf, and that, I mean, you're looking at what, like maybe, depending on how much you need, like £100 maybe, like just to kind of get it going. And that was enough to kind of, a few nails, and then you could put it together. And it was so sketchy. Like, one of the pallets had a hole in it. I was patching up, and it was just wobbling all over the place. But that's just the joy of it. The sketchier it is, the more fun it is, I find. It's like...
I mean, that DIY ethos, I hadn't remembered this, but then when you mentioned about your partner in the snow centre, you did that sort of DIY line at the snow centre, which is fucking insane.
Yeah, still.
How did that come about?
that came about from a series after the Olympics in Sochi. The management, Friday management that I was with then, did like, I think they were like they were like an agency but like a production company as well, and I think they pitched to Channel 4 to do this series called Forged in Steel, which was a little bit of a documentary into like my life and how I started snowboarding and where I came from and stuff like that. And I don't know how it happened, but I basically was like talking to the snow centre, and they were like, I want to ride like from the top of here outside, and I'd love to hit this rail that you've got set like just there, and then somehow make it through these doors and into the snow centre. And they were like, that's a cool idea. And I think it took a bit of planning and quite a lot of building to make it happen. But we like chopped a lot of trees down that were overgrown with the rail, and it just came together, and it was just some wild creative idea that I just came up with in my head that was just like, this could be cool to film and do. And then everybody, wasn't just me, but everybody kind of loved the idea and made it happen. So it was really cool. It was part of that like project, but never thought it was just like part of that, like what was going on Channel 4. And I think it went out on Channel 4, and then we posted it as a single clip, like just the run, on Facebook, because Instagram wasn't really a thing.
No,
it was
it
like
would have been
Facebook. And it just absolutely blew up. It had like 15 million views or something crazy. I had a lot of views, and it kind of set this thing like in motion to do another one. And again, that it didn't do as well as the first, because it was the first, always like the first one, right? But it still did really well. And I've got this like, everyone's like, when are you going to do another one? I'm like, there's not actually really many options to do another one. But I would like to do the same line, but filmed with an FPV drone. Like, really? Totally different. Because I feel like now the technology is advanced enough where I feel like you could get a completely different, unique shot. Yeah. And I'd like to combine the section, so the second one I did, the first section with the end of the first one. Mm-hmm. So it flows, like, I think that's like, it could be the one. But yeah, again, that's just another conversation, another mad idea that I've had, including many other mad ideas that I'm trying to work on at the minute, which I can't really talk too much about, but something I'm trying to make happen and get the funding for, which has been a dream of mine to be able to do it since 2015. Right. Just costs a lot of money. So it's just trying to get
Nike when
I was always like, if I won some lottery, or like, I'd just do it myself. I literally would. Just front. I'd literally front the cost myself. It's like literally a dream of mine to do it, and it wouldn't just be for myself. It would include many other riders. It would be like ultimately like one of the best things, I think, in my opinion, to happen. But it's whether or not I can pull the funds together. So if there is anyone out there who's an absolute multi-billionaire who's listening to this podcast,
if we've got any multi-billionaires listening, do get in touch.
Do get in touch to make this wild idea come to life.
But I guess just going to back to that point, like, you know, obviously you were a sort of competition snowboarder, and that's what your sponsors would have expected from you.
Yeah.
And then when you change, and then you sort of still need some support from people. Yeah. Then, like, you know, obviously then doing some really creative stuff and getting millions of views, all of a sudden then makes you still that valuable commodity.
Well, you say that, but I don't think, I don't know what it is, but I've always found it really hard, and I don't know if this comes across, I don't know, I'm not like saying anything bad to anyone, but I've really struggled to, like, even now to kind of, and I don't know if it's something I've done in the past or maybe annoyed anyone in the past, but just to be able to like even work with any like core snowboard brands now is, I've found really difficult. It's like no one like just to get in with people, like even riding for Nitro, it's like kind of, you feel like you're just not really part of it. Right. And that really does hurt, because I feel like maybe I've done quite a lot for snowboarding in this country, I feel like, or I've been a big part of it worldwide, and I'm still really trying to push it, and maybe it's I'm too old now, I don't know. But I don't feel like there's that much support. Like I really do feel like I'm like trying to fund my snowboarding through, it might not be a brand that in the core snowboard world is seen as like a cool brand in a sense that, but it's the only way for me to be still snowboarding. And if it is the only way for me to be still snowboarding, then fuck it, I'm going to do it because I love snowboarding. I don't really care about what other people think. But yeah, I just feel like support from like, I don't feel like has been there for a while from like kind of the snowboard brands, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it is, well, I mean, I don't obviously know about it on your level, but I think maybe the snowboard brands are trying to work out who to support because,
yeah,
like the
yeah.
influencer thing probably has more, like I've talked to a few people, like is being a professional snowboarder, do the brands still get, like, are you getting as much coverage as an influencer? And if the idea of having pro riders is it's partly marketing, then your marketing spend goes, especially companies that aren't necessarily all owned by snowboarders.
Yeah.
Like that marketing spend will go towards what's the most effective thing, and somebody with 20 million followers, you could argue, has a bigger reach than somebody who's like a diehard great snowboarder.
Huge reach. Yeah, I can see that. Like, because I've always found like, if anything, like my reach now feels more than it ever has.
Yeah.
And it confuses me that, like, as a snowboarder, I like still like I do well like out of snowboarding. I'm still able to, but it's not like I can go on trips all the time. And I'd love to. Like, I'd love to absolutely like be able to, go to Japan and ride powder and and create videos and film and stuff. And those opportunities would be amazing. And like, going to make it happen at some point. And social media is really still giving me the platform to be able to like still make a kind of a career out of snowboarding still and carry that on. Because I've kind of honed in on it and really pushed it. And I do get like, even just over the last 2 months, it's crazy. It's like millions of views worldwide. It's absolutely mind-blowing the amount of reach that you can get just from riding a back garden setup. But it's the way I can still be able to snowboard and still do it. And like, like I said, I was saying to you, like I'm heading up to Scotland and I'm really excited to maybe, just try and mix, because there's not many events now in the UK snowboard scene that you can actually go to and everyone's there, or at least a good amount are there. So it's nice to be able to catch up with people and stuff, like old and new, and just see what's going on, because like I feel like I'm really out of the loop a lot of the time now of what's going on.
Yeah, well, as you say, there aren't as many opportunities to get together with everybody, are there?
No, exactly. So currently right now it's like I feel like I ride for Nicholls, but I just literally get like boards and kit and stuff, but I don't really feel part of I feel like what I'm saying is I would love to ride for a brand that I feel part of the family, and it doesn't matter if it's like it's a paid thing. Right. It's feeling part of something. Yeah. For me would be really cool, or feeling valued in a sense, because I love what I do, I love snowboarding, and I hope that comes across. I mean,
the fact that you're still throwing yourself on a
a
DIY rail in your back garden.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? I think your love of snowboarding, it would be difficult to contest it.
Yeah. Exactly, and it's being a way of me being able to like kind of, okay, so I'm not really, because I think like when I was riding for Nike, I just missed that team vibe. I was like, we had such like 4 years of just amazingly good times and traveling around the world together and being on a team. But what I sacrificed was all those other brands that I was working for or working with before, I had to drop
Right.
in order to take on Nike because they wanted it head to toe.
Yeah.
So I lost like Red Bull, I lost, you know, Quicksilver, Oakley, and all these other brands that I was working with, and they all went. And it can't exactly be like 4 years later.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
I'm back. You know, like
Yeah, that Nike thing. Yeah. Well, you'll be not surprised that they dipped out of snowboarding.
And they dipped out of snowboarding, didn't they? And it kind of left me a little bit like, oh, like what are my options now?
Yeah.
Because I'd kind of, I wouldn't say like, I hope I didn't like annoy anyone, because I was still quite, you know, I was quite young. So
No, but you had a good TM. You know, like it's a great opportunity.
Yeah,
like
but
anyone would be a bit churlish to sort of say, "Oh, you shouldn't do that." Because
yeah, exactly. And you'd hope that you didn't burn any bridges from doing that, because it probably did.
maybe.
Because it was like, I'm going to Nike, but it did set me up for, you know, it set me up for not life, but like it helped me buy a house. It helped me, you know, do those things that have helped me today, and it still helps me today. So like the decisions that I made back then are still helping me now. So yeah, it was the right decision, but it's just like it had to at a cost of burning a few bridges, like, you know, my relationships with all those other brands that I was working with.
But then looking at it now, you know, when, you know, lots of younger riders are probably, you know, like it's always like, oh yeah, the kids know more about social media and everything, but I'm not entirely sure that's true. And how to present themselves. And obviously you've now got a history of generating content that people are interested in. So you've got some insights, and you've still got abilities, and you've got all this knowledge and experience. Like there's, like you should be being looked after by somebody. Do you know what I mean?
But it's
that's a
interesting.
a lot of useful skills to somebody.
It is, because you're essentially like, let's say, you know, I'm reaching millions of people a month, and you'd think that would have some value, but I think a lot of people look at it and think, oh, like, you know, he must be doing really well, you know, but it's actually, at the end of the day, it can be the opposite. Like I would argue that, you know, I've been able to fund my snowboard career over the last 10 years, not from snowboarding, from other avenues of income that I've been able to tap into because of my other interests. So it's just, you know, it's a touchy subject to talk about, and I'm not saying that I at all deserve it or anything like that, because, you know, I think it's just, it would be epic to like just be able to feel part of a team again. I think I'm trying to say, of like what it was like back then when I was riding for Nike, to be able to go on trips and stuff like that. And Nitro actually did invite me out to a trip last year, but then I like annoyingly clashed with like my IBD. I basically have IBD, so I was like, I was going through all that at the time. I was literally like on the toilet constantly, got invited to Nitro, but didn't want to let Canute down, and then I feel like I did, and then I was like, but then I was in hospital having a colonoscopy and a camera stuck up my arse. So it was just like,
that's not good
fuck,
times,
like,
is
it's
it?
just not
It's
a
not
good
like
time.
you turned it down for
So it's like,
for a better offer.
Yeah, like it wasn't like I was turning it down for like, oh, like I've like gone to my mate's wedding or something. Like, I don't know. Like it just was like, oh, like this couldn't have come at a worse time. And I was like, maybe that was my opportunity gone. And now I'm like, oh, like can I have an opportunity again? But now I'm better. But yeah, dude, like it's just, it would be really cool. So yeah, like it's not like a call for like, I want to, you know, like someone come help, like someone.
No, but it's just
like,
interesting because obviously on social media you do have to put out a look how great, you know, like Munson. I don't know if you ever know Mark Munson, but like he does a thing that's called "My Life's Better Than Yours."
Okay.
But that's what social media is. Like to a lot of it is, it's basically saying, check out how good my life is.
People don't see
you don't see the flip side of it.
The flip side of it at all. It's a scare. Like it is really bad. You only see like the polished versions of everything, and I've tried to be a little bit more. I would say recently a little bit more like kind of not be as polished. In a sense, like I'm trying to show a little bit more about myself, a little bit more, like talk about things, open up a little bit more and show the real me, because I've only ever really posted clips, like let's be real. I've never, even just speaking over those Olympics videos and stuff like that, it's not really, like, it's not something I've tried before, but I actually really enjoyed, and I know I would enjoy it. Having an opinion has always really scared me, especially on social media with a lot of followers.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, once you kind of say what you think or an opinion, it's like kind of opens up sometimes a can of worms, right? So I've always tried to avoid those as much as I can. But yeah, it's interesting. Just trying to that. Yeah, social media is an interesting one, isn't it?
It is.
I've come from when I started snowboarding to print, and it was all about getting a cover on a magazine.
Yeah.
To then managing this social media beast that it's turned into.
He's feeding every day.
Feeding every single day to literally, you know, even if you take a week off, you notice a huge difference.
Yeah.
In terms of like, you know, engagement and stuff like that, and like, why is it come? What's happened? Why have we got to this place? Like, it still drives me insane.
I'm slightly worried about time, so
Don't worry.
Let's get to the two ender questions, which are: what can you sum up what snowboarding means to you? I know it's sort of peppered throughout this interview so far, but
snowboarding. It's interesting because I don't really know what anything. I don't really have anything else to go off, because snowboarding has been my life and means so much to me, and without it, I don't know what I would do. I like even struggle now with it actually really scares me about getting older,
right?
Because I'm like, what happens when I can't, or what happens, like you know, even being able to go to Halifax and do a backside 720 on that jump, I know that will have to end at some point.
Yeah, you'll do your last backside 720.
Yeah, like I know that time will come, right?
But at least you got a 720 in the first place.
And that does really scare me, and I try not to think about it, because snowboarding is such a massive part of my life, and it just makes me so happy when I'm on my board. All the anxieties and everything else that I've like had literally goes out the window when I'm on my snowboard. Like, I don't overthink things. I don't I've had a lot of like bad, like kind of negative shit that's been happening in my life over the last year and a half, 2 years, and I feel like escaping that is by going snowboarding, whether that's on my ramp or indoor snowboarding, whatever. It's been, so like without that, I don't know, it's a scary place to kind of go. But I am trying to like kind of also think of other things that I'd love to do and pursue. I've always been into photography and stuff like that, and I was like, this year I'm going to get myself a camera, and I'm going to like on my trips just try and shoot a little bit more, and maybe that can be something that I can be passionate about when snowboarding is harder for me to do, but then I can still be there and shoot it and like film it. Like that's a way of me being able to still be in the kind of sport. So yeah, those are things that I'm like trying to work on this year, I think, just so I can still kind of build that up and build my experience while I'm still snowboarding and still traveling and stuff. That's something I'm able to like kind of tap into a little bit on the side. But yeah, no, snowboarding for me is just the best thing. Like, nothing has come ever close to even fulfilling my happiness as snowboarding has. So yeah, it's still, as a young boy at 6, it's still the same to me as it was back then. So yeah.
And what would you say to somebody who hasn't been snowboarding before, or who hasn't been snowboarding for quite a long time and that wants to get back to it? Why should someone get themselves out to the mountains?
I feel like everybody should at least, and I get that it's difficult. There's a lot of people where I grew up that couldn't afford to go and travel to the mountains, and I get that it's difficult, but it doesn't have to cost a lot to strap in. Like, there's ways of doing it on the cheap and stuff. Everybody thinks snowboarding, it's just a rich person's sport and skiing and stuff, being able to go to the mountains. But there is ways. You just have to be smart. But there's ways of doing it, like, you know, coming from the UK and just being able to, you know, not have mountains on our doorstep, but you can still build a ramp in your garden and still try it out, you know, like even if it's not this, but you know, there's ways that you can put out stuff now, like on social media and for free. Like, you know, you can build a little ramp in your garden, you could get a snowboard for fairly cheap, like second hand, and you can do that and start snowboarding and putting content out there and videos, and it can get picked up and people realise, and then that might open up so many doors for you to be able to like travel and work and meet the right people. So I don't think it is impossible, but I think if you really want to try it, you should just give it a go, because it's the best thing I ever did. And I think a lot of people, when they get into snowboarding and they actually get through that brutal stage of learning, which is most of the time on your arse and, you know, feeling pain, but once you get through that and you're on the other side, it's such an amazing fun thing to do. So I definitely think, yeah, it's worth trying. If you're on the fence and you're even thinking about it, just do it. Like, definitely.
So there you are. That was a couple of hours in the company of Jamie Nicholls, and I really hope you enjoyed that, listening to that as much as I did chatting to him. And another one of those guests that I guess I've seen in magazines for a long time. I mean, a long, long time. From when he first appeared at like the AIM series, and everyone was like, man, this kid is good, to watching him in David Benedict's and Chris Webber's In Short, their section from Halifax, which is on the YouTube channel now. Go and have a look at that. To watching him at the Sochi Olympics, and then watching him on his socials doing all the ghetto backyard stuff. And it seems mad that our paths haven't ever really crossed, apart from, as I said, that one kind of evening at the ski show at a curry house with Jeremy Sladen. But he was still pretty young then. I mean, Jesus, we're casting my mind back into the midst of time. So yeah, it's quite mad that our paths never really crossed. But he felt like an old friend. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird thing. Like, he felt like an old friend. And I think we got on pretty well. And I'd certainly like to go for a shred and go for an après beer with Jamie anytime. I think that would be a fun thing to do. Just an interesting guy as well. A lot for, you know, I really enjoyed all his thoughts around the Olympics and how it is kind of trying to maintain a career in snowboarding when you're sort of doing it yourself and you don't really have much support from the snowboard industry. I mean, with his amount of followers, you'd think that a brand would be picking him up, but I don't know. I don't know about any of that stuff. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I just what a season. What a season. I can't believe we're now at episode 24 and the season ender. There's been so many interesting conversations. Kicked off the season with my old friend Johnny Weeks, who I hadn't seen in at least 20 years. And that felt like no time had passed. Again, like Ian Trotter, someone whose paths probably never crossed, immediately felt like an old friend. Mia Langridge, who I met at the board test last year, hopefully see her at the board test this year. Again, you know, like there's at least 30 years between us. But again, someone you feel like you can hang out with. And I think that is the power of snowboarding, really. That common denominator that brings us all together. And it's the shared experiences that make us smile and all that good stuff. I've certainly been feeling that since the camp that we put on, because that really was the point of the camp, was to bring together a load of people and have a bunch of shared experiences and basically make a load of new friends. I didn't realise, and I said this to the guests on the last night, that I didn't realise that I would be coming away from that camp with a whole bunch of new mates, basically, who I'll be happy to see anytime and sit and have a pint with, or go shredding with anytime. Snowboarding still kind of blows my mind like that. You can get a bit when you've been doing it for years and years, and I know there's a lot of people out there listening to this that have been doing it for years and years and maybe haven't been recently or haven't been for a few years because of all the different reasons. It still is the thing that lights me up like a Christmas tree. And from what I understood from all the people on the camp, it's still something that lights them up as well. There was a couple of people that hadn't been for quite a while that are getting back into it, and just big smiles on their faces. They might have been the people that enjoyed it the most. So yeah, snowboarding, still the thing. And I can't wait to do some more. Just letting my body recover from 2 weeks in the Alps. We did the last outro. I did it in a bedroom in a flat in Latania. I can't quite remember what I talked about because I was pretty knackered at the time and I was in a bit of a rush. But yeah, on the last day of the camp, we did 100k. We managed to, actually we did 101.6 kilometers in a day. And that's quite a lot of snowboarding by anyone's standards. And my body is definitely feeling ready for a bit of a rest before spring break. I went in the sea this morning to just try and figure out where the aches and pains were, and surprisingly enough, the cold water is really good for showing you where your aches and pains are. But actually I felt pretty good. Nothing in particular to report. I did, my left knee was acting a little bit weird, but I think it was just long days at the camp. Obviously I'd be getting up to get bread at 7:30 and then like not making it to bed till like gone 1 most nights, or even later if Dan Crichton had anything to do with it. And mentioning Dan Crichton, I've got to send a massive shout out to the people that look after me and the podcast. First and foremost is Chris Shannon at the TSA. I know I say it at the start of every show, but the Snowboard Asylum have been backing this podcast since I had the idea for it, and I've got nothing but love for those guys. They give me pretty much a free rein to find the people to talk to and to tell the stories that I feel are important, and they support me wholeheartedly in that, and I can't thank them enough. The Snowboard Asylum have been looking after snowboarders, I know I say this at the beginning, since the beginning, but there is not many people who have ever been sponsored in the UK or, you know, competed or whatever that haven't at some point had some help from the Snowboard Asylum, and they are always the most generous people. And as a company, their ethos is for snowboarders. Hopefully next season we're going to be talking to Rob Brigham, part of the Ellis Brigham family. The Snowboard Asylum is part of Ellis Brigham's, which is a big family-owned outdoor ski, snowboard kind of retailer. And ever since the beginning, they've had the foresight to get snowboarders involved and to let the snowboarders do the snowboarding thing. And I'm looking forward to telling that story with Rob, who's a lovely, lovely man. And just to find out a bit more about that. But what you need to know is that the Snowboard Asylum is for snowboarders by snowboarders. They take a lot of their staff out to spring break, and they give them a pretty heavy wish list of boards that they've got to then test and ride, so that when they're back in the shops and they're talking to the customers, that they know what they're talking about and they've got lived experience of riding that kit. And that is not to be taken lightly. They invest heavily into snowboarding to make sure that you get the right kit, and that is why we love them so much. They aren't just a typical snowboard shop, or maybe they are a typical snowboard shop, but they put their money where their mouth is, and I've got nothing but love. So thank you, Shannon, thank you, Jez, thank you, Orchard, and everyone else, all the crew that I'll see out at spring break. Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for making sure snowboarders around the country are getting the right kit for them. And as I said, Dan Crichton from Burton, Dan and Lizzie and Max, thank you so much for your direct support for me. I do look like I've been dipped in Burton currently, but their AK gear has kept me in the rain in Courchevel at the start of the season, through to powder, through to spring laps. It's kept me bone dry and toasty warm. I can't knock it. The boards I've been riding the Grillmaster, as well as I took my old brushy reissue, rode that for a couple of days. Boots, I know I've wanged on about boots before, but really they're boots, and the bindings, I've always used their bindings. I'm just feel really lucky that a company like Burton have been looking after me, and also bringing a whole bunch of 26, 27 kit out to the camp for our campers to try out. The step-ons went down really well. Loads of people wearing step-ons. Dan as well, riding step-ons. Everybody stoked on them. Everybody stoked on new boards. It's brand new snowboard kit with 2 people from the company that make it, helping people choose what to ride. And it was brilliant. Everyone engaged so much, and those guys worked late into the evenings to make sure everyone had a setup for the next day and was stoked on what they were riding. So yes, thank you, Burton. Thank you, Dan and Lizzie and Max. You're legends. I can't thank you enough. And then, just to the camp. It was an overwhelming success. We had our ideas and plans for what we wanted to deliver and give the people that booked onto it. And I think we did that pretty well. Might have been a bit slightly shambolic at a few points, but, sort of things, there was a few unknowns, and it was the first one, so that's to be expected. But I don't think any of that affected any of the guests' experience. So it worked really, really well. But what really, really worked was the guests bringing an energy and the weather gods playing their part. I mean, we couldn't have asked for better conditions. I mean, we had a couple of days of sunshine. I thought, people were talking about this big storm coming in, and it's like, well, if we get slushy park laps and long days on the mountain, that'll do me. But the weather gods delivered. And we had a couple of powder days and some sunshine. And then on the last day, we did 100 kilometers. I mean, just couldn't have really gone any better. And it's easy for people to be stoked when the weather gods kind of do their bit. So, we were blessed. It was a brilliant week. Hopefully a lot of people have made some new friends. I've made some new friends. I was quite blown away and tried not to tear up too much on the last night when just trying to say goodbye to everybody. And it was amazing. So, you can keep it locked if you subscribe to this podcast. You'll hear about our plans for 27. This year was a test to see if it worked and to see how we felt about it and whether the effort was worth the kind of good times. So me and Kate, we're going to be catching up sometime this week and sort of mull it all over, and we're going to be talking to everyone and asking our guests for feedback. And then we will be deciding what we're going to do next year. So if you missed out this year and you want to be on the wait list, we will be doing something. Don't know what it is yet. But if you want to be one of the first to hear about it, then send an email to thankyouSnowboarding@gmail.com. That email address will be in the show notes underneath this episode, and we will put you on the list to be first in line for next season. But what I can say is basically most of our guests this time have just said, can I pay you for next year already? So I think we did something right, and everyone was saying you've created quite the beast and you need to be doing this again. So if you don't want to miss out next year, then please do get in touch soon and we will put you on the list. And speaking of those things, I've been recording chairlift chats. So over the summer, like I did last year, we're going to be dropping sort of sporadic. When we've got some news, we'll be dropping a chairlift chat with some of the funny things we've talked about on chairlifts, or with people that are interesting on chairlifts over the summer, just to sort of pepper it with a little bit of that feeling of being in the Alps, sitting on a chairlift with your mates, having a chat about who knows what. And you get the sounds of going over all the pylons and all that kind of stuff, which I think is particularly cool. So they're going to be dropping over the summer. There's also a few other bits happening this summer. There's the Brits at Tamworth. Going to try and make it up there for that. If you know of any other events that you want me to tell people about, then yeah, do get in touch. Again, thank you snowboarding@gmail.com. Let us know what's going on. If your dry slope is having some sort of event or whatever, then give us a shout and we'll at least publicise it. Maybe try and come down and do drag lift chats. I mean, no chair. Was it Bracknell Dry Slope? I once had a chairlift. I can't remember, but I'm sure there was one somewhere that had a chairlift. Can you imagine that? But yeah, drag lift chats, that could be a thing, couldn't it? Really short conversations, shouting at each other on a drag lift. All right, and then yeah, the music from this section. The music for Jamie's episode is the Postal Service Such Great Heights, which is one of the highlights of the robot food movies. It's Bobby Meeks' section from Lame, I'm going to say. Don't think it's After Bang, but either way. The robot food movies, they are up on our YouTube channel. If you just look for Thank You Snowboarding, you'll find it. There's loads of stuff up there. There's the movie with Jamie in short. If you've got any other shred flicks that you think should be added to the playlist on there, then yeah, again, get in touch. Follow us on Instagram at Thank You Snowboarding Podcast for stuff over the summer. We've got there's a full kind of after movie from the camp, and then there's going to be some social clips being thrown up there. The after movie for the camp is up on YouTube right now. So if you want to know what it looked like in person, then go and have a look at that. And then I think that's it for this season. Can you believe it? Another 24 episodes, another 24 conversations. I do hope that you have been snowboarding this winter. Conditions in the Alps were great. Driving back through Annecy, and it's not often that you see Annecy with snow-covered peaks while everyone's wearing t-shirts and shorts on Saturday afternoon. That was quite a highlight. There is still a lot of snow in the Alps. If you haven't been out there yet, it's not the end. The end is at the end of the month. So you could find yourself getting a crazily good deal for the end of the season, and most resorts are good all the way down to the bottom. Certainly if you're going to Teen, somewhere like that, then you know you're laughing. There is so much snow loaded into the mountains at the moment that it's ridiculous. So it's not over yet. It is certainly not over yet. So get yourself amongst it. It will do you good. It will reset the balance in your life. It might not set your bank balance on fire, but it will certainly calm your soul and make you smile. And that is what snowboarding is about. All right. I think I've been wanging on for long enough. See you over the summer at various things and on the chairlift chats. And we'll be back in the autumn for more Thank You Snowboarding. Until then, take care. Peace.